Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw. Today I'm reviewing the brand new album from the band HateSphere entitled Murder Lust. Let's get into this album. So a little bit about the band before I actually get into the full thing about this album. This band is a melodic death metal slash thrash metal slash death metal band. They've been around for a couple of years now, actually more than a couple of years, but they're not really well known in the big spectrum of the metal world, so I decided to take upon this album because I've heard some of their stuff before from previous friends, and I've heard some of their previous albums, so I was curious to see what this band was going to be throwing out again with this brand new album. So I'm actually glad that I decided to take a look at this, because originally I was not going to review this or even listen to the material, but like I said, I'm glad I did. So what really caught my attention was the start-off song, which let me get to the track listing here. The start-off song, which is the title of the track, title track Murder Lust, that song just felt very aggressive in my personal opinion, and you know, putting the song on track one and just listening it through, and if you're not really 100% know about this band, or you don't have no idea about this band, this song Murder Lust kind of sums up partially what this band is really known for, giving you some really heavy aggressive riffs alongside with some more, maybe not so heavy aggressive riffs, but very groovy riffs that really catch your attention and kind of get your head bobbing a little bit. But I think the title track, the opening track Murder Lust, really kind of sums up as well this album as well. Not 100% though, because there's some things that they throw out throughout this album that's not on the first track Murder Lust, that kind of catches you by surprise if you're not really into this band. But they have been known to throw in some stuff here or there to really throw you off guard, and that's what happens throughout this record. So if you enjoy the opening track Murder Lust, which I really caught that on, really enjoyed that track, and it really held up through the rest of the album, really these tracks really standing out. But if you really enjoyed the first track, I think you're really going to enjoy the rest of the album like I did. Murder Lust, the title track, opening up this album, was a great opener, and it really set the tone for what they're going to try to deliver with this album, Murder Lust. So the third track, Fear Me, which is the longest track, just clocking a little bit over 6 minutes long, feels not so much as a aggressive track, but more of a groovy type track. The riffs throughout this track are very groovy, and they're basically there to make you just get in the groove and really just enjoy the aggressive grooveness they're trying to throw with, because this isn't like, you know, standard guitar tuning. They're playing in a lower standard, so just to play a riff that really sounds really groovy in a lower standard guitar than regular E standard is something that I usually do not see very much with bands like that, but they have a really great groove going through there. The Violent Act, track 4, great track, really, you know, caught a really good vibe with that track. And In Process, track number 6, I do have to mention this, an instrumental, and this is where the things flip, and this is the things that really they throw out to just throw it out there, because before this track we got some really aggressive tracks with the first 5 tracks before we get to track 6 in Process. But the first 5 tracks are basically you get the thrash, you get the melodic death metal, you get some of the death metal aspects. But track 6 opens up with the clean guitar tone and playing a really interesting riff, and then we hear the harmonizing guitar bits, and then also on top of that the other harmony guitar backs off as the lead player does some really interesting parts. Then the harmonizing comes back in throughout this, basically a solo, half harmonized, half not. And basically this track is just a very interesting instrumental, a very interesting opening. Like I said, it's different from the rest of the first 5 tracks, so it's a complete flip, and I really enjoyed it. It was really good to put that basically in the middle of the album to really switch it up a little bit, to give a really cool instrumental. Darkest of Forces, track number 8, really awesome. And I felt interesting, they covered the track Assassin from MUSE, and it was the closer of the album, and I think that was very interesting, because I've seen some other albums that have closed with covers that have not done so well, but I think that this was a great track. It was really an interesting cover, and I think they did it very well. So the reason why I really wanted to talk about some of the tracks and really give you an idea, because like I said, this band is not real well known, and so I wanted to basically give you some of the highlights and some of the really interesting moments that I think if you're a fan of thrash metal, fan of melodic death metal, a fan of death metal, and a fan of those genres getting mixed together in a conjumbled thing to interlock and basically be one entity in an album, I think you'll enjoy this album very well. So, a couple more things before I get to the sound of the band. This album is not exactly the best production possible, but it's very good for what it is, and I think that I enjoy this production a little bit better for at least this band and for at least this type of material than a completely 100% polished perfection, because I think it would lose some of the rawness and lose some of the aggressiveness if the guitars were polished to the point where they're not too heavy and they're not really aggressive. But I enjoy the fact that there are moments where the production is not exactly up to par with the rest of the album, but it shows that regardless of what the production is for this album or what sound or what's happening throughout the track, the band still feels confident and they're still releasing some aggressive and sometimes groovy and overall just some amazing tracks. So that's not really an issue. The production is not an issue for me at all. But there might be some people that might have issues with the production in some spots or maybe throughout the whole entire thing, but I enjoy it for what it is. It shows that the band is just pushing forward no matter if there's an issue or if the production's not 100% complete perfection. The fact that the band is just doing what they want to do, which is play some aggressive music. So there's no issues there. Let's talk about the band and the way they sounded and how they contributed on the album, and then we'll be done with this review. So let's start off with vocals. Esben Esse Hansen, I'm pretty sure that's pronounced his name. Sorry if I do mispronounce anybody's names throughout the naming of the band. But the vocals are very aggressive. They're on point. I didn't have any issues so much with the vocals. I think the vocals, the lows and the highs that were throughout this album, fit perfectly along with the rest of the sounding of the band. And props to the vocals. Really, really good stuff there. Really enjoyed the variety of stuff going on throughout there. So, Pepe on rhythm and lead player. Now, this is the first part. We're talking about rhythm and lead, and also on drums is Jakob as well. I mean, a guitar, yeah. But I felt like the rhythm guitars were very aggressive sounding. A lot of the riffs on this album were very aggressive and on point in trying to make you show you that we're aggressive and we have the power. And listen to these guitars. Listen to this. Listen to this. And so I really enjoyed the rhythm section. The lead playing and the harmonizing bit on In Process really stood out to me. But the lead playing was amazing. I really enjoyed the guitar tones they picked for the lead and the rhythm. They fit alongside together. And overall, the guitars are one of the main points on this album. So I really enjoyed the riffs and the solo bits that really stood out. So props to both of them for their guitar playing. Really impressive stuff. Jimmy on bass. The bass sounded really good. When I was listening to it with the headphones on and really hearing every little every little thing throughout the whole entire tracks and the whole entire album together, that the bass was playing some different parts that the guitars wasn't, so the bass was doing something a little bit different to add something more to this certain section or maybe the whole entire track together. But really good stuff with the bass. The bass was very aggressive sounding, so good tone there for the bass. So Mike, or Mick, M-I-K-E, sorry if I mispronounced his name, drums. The drum sound is not exactly, perfect. It's not, too polished, like I was saying about the production sound, but I feel like the drums fit alongside, at least sounding wise and playing wise, with what the rest of the band is doing. And that's always a big thing for me. Drums are really a big thing for me, because if the drums are not exactly in the same feel or basically not in the same writing area or style as the rest of the tracks or the rest of the sections, the drums just don't seem like they were written for this certain guitar section or certain vocal section or whatever, that the drums could throw a song completely off. But I feel like the drums fit alongside with all of this material in a great, great way, because obviously drums can bring a whole album down or bring an album to an extra step, and I think a step up, and I think that that's what the drums did. The drums brought this album to a step up and really just made these when they got to the aggressive sections, the drums pushed it further up, pushed it to another limit. And when the songs were more pulled back, or the sections were at least more pulled back, the drums did that as well. So big props to that. Overall, the band sounds amazing, and basically they put out a very good thrash / melodic death metal / death metal album that I think should be looked upon from people who are fans of those genres, that really should look into this band, and more so look into this album as well, and their past stuff as well. So that is my review, guys. That is HateSphere-Murderlust. Go check it out. Go check out their Facebook, whatever you want to do. But I recommend checking out Murderlust, the 2013 release. So that's my review, guys. If I had to give a rating, which I will give a rating, I'll give this album an 8.5 out of 10. Very great release. Really enjoy this, and I can't wait to see what their next release is going to be. So thank you guys for watching. That's the review. If you like me and you like the video, like the video. And if you want to see more, click my name or subscribe to see more. Thank you guys for watching. See ya.